Srimad, Srimad, Divine Grace to Suhotra Swami, Abhay Chandra Bhakti Swami, Suhotra Swami, Jayo Srimad, Brahman, Srimad, Acharya, Srimad, Divine Grace to Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati Goswami, Suhotra Swami ki Jai, Manoj Koti Vai Sri ki, Iskon Beauty Ground Church, Suhotra Swami ki, Namacharya Shilani Rash Thakur ki, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Chaitanya Radha, Srivasadi Gaura, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shyam Kunda Radha Kundi Ki, Govardhan Ki, Shri Ramanam Turadam Ki, Srinavadi Kumai Pudam Ki, Shri Pudam Ki, Umai Jumai Ki, Bhakti Devi Tulsadevi Ki, Shri Guru Parampara Ki, Divine Grace Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vinda Ki, Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanandi, Hari all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri, Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Shri Guru, Ram Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya, Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda, Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Nityananda, Yunashesha Shunya Vali Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So this morning we are reading from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4. Vidura approaches Maitreya, text number 32. Evam Triloka Guruna, Sandishta Shabda Yonina, Badaryashram Asadya, Harim Ije Samadhina, Evam Triloka Guruna, Sandishta Shabda Yonina, Badaryashramam Asadya, Harim Ije Samadhina, Evam Triloka Guruna, Sandishta Shabda Yonina, Badaryashramam Asadya, Harim Ije Samadhina,
Evam Triloka Guruna, Sandishta Shabda Yonina, Badaryashramam Asadya, Harim Ije Samadhina, Evam Triloka Guruna, Sandishta Shabda Yonina, Badaryashramam Asadya, Harim Ije Samadhina, Evam Triloka Guruna, Sandishta Shabda Yonina, Badaryashramam Asadya, Harim Ije Samadhina,
Evam, thus, three loka, three worlds, Guruna, by the spiritual master, Sandishta, being perfectly taught, Shabda Yonina, by one who is the source of all Vedic knowledge, Badaryashramam, in the pilgrimage site of Badrik Ashram, Asadya, reaching, Harim, unto the Lord. Ije, satisfied. Samadhina, by trance. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shukadeva Goswami informed the king that Uddhav, being thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of all Vedic knowledge and the spiritual master of the three worlds, reached the pilgrimage site of Badrikashram and engaged himself there in trance to satisfy the Lord. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna is factually the spiritual master of the three worlds, and He is the original source of all Vedic knowledge. It is very difficult, however, to understand the personal feature of the Absolute Truth, even from the Vedas. His personal instructions are needed in order to understand the personality of Godhead as the Supreme Absolute Truth. Bhagavad Gita is the evidence of such transcendental knowledge in gist. One cannot know the Supreme Lord unless one is graced by the Lord Himself. Lord Krishna exhibited the specific mercy towards Arjuna and Uddhava while he was in the material world. Undoubtedly, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to encourage Arjuna to fight, and yet to complete the transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord instructed Uddhava. The Lord wanted Uddhava to fulfill his mission and disseminate knowledge which he had not spoken, even in Bhagavad Gita. Persons who are attached to the words of the Vedas may also know from this verse that the Lord is the source of all Vedic knowledge. One who is unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by going through the pages of the Vedas may take shelter of one of the Lord's devotees, such as Uddhava, in order to advance further in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahma Samhita says that it is very difficult to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedas, but He is easily understood from a pure devotee like Uddhava. Taking mercy on the great sages who lived at Badrikashram, the Lord authorized Uddhava to speak on his behalf. Unless one has such authorization, one cannot understand or preach the devotional service of the Lord. While present on this earth, the Lord executed many uncommon activities, even traveling in space, to bring down the Parijata from heaven and recovering the son of his teacher, Sandipani Muni, from the regions of death. Uddhava was certainly informed of the conditions of life on other planets, and all the sages were anxious to know of them, just as we are anxious to know about the planets in space. Uddhava was particularly deputed to carry a message to Badrikashram, not only to the sages of that place of pilgrimage, but also to the Nara Narayan deities. Such a message must have been more confidential than the knowledge described in the pages of the Vedas. The Lord is undoubtedly the source of all knowledge, and the messages dispatched through Uddhava to Nara Narayan and other sages were also part of the Vedic knowledge, but they were more confidential and could be sent or understood only through such a pure devotee as Uddhava. Since such confidential knowledge was known only to the Lord and Uddhava, it is said that Uddhava was as good as the Lord Himself. Every living entity can, like Uddhava, also become a confidential messenger on the same level as the Lord, provided he becomes confidential himself by dint of loving devotional service. Such confidential knowledge is entrusted, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only to pure devotees like Uddhava and Arjuna, and one has to learn the mystery through them and not otherwise. One cannot understand Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam without the help of such confidential devotees of the Lord. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a confidential message must have concerned the mystery of his departure and the annihilation of his dynasty after the end of his appearance in in the mundane world for 100 years. Everyone must have been very anxious to know about the mystery of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty, and that message must have been explained by the Lord to Uddhava and dispatched to Badrik Ashram for the information of Naranarayan and other pure devotees of the Lord. Evam Tri Loka Guruna Sandishta Shabda Yonina Padaryashramam Asabdya Harim Jay Sumadina. Shukadeva Goswami informed the king that Uddhava, being thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the source of all Vedic knowledge and the spiritual master of the three worlds, reached the pilgrimage site of Badrik Ashram and engaged himself there in trance to satisfy the Lord. Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Namanayate Grimikritam, or Mananda Madhava. At the end of this purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the confidential message must have concerned the mystery of his departure and the annihilation of his dynasty after the end of his appearance in the mundane world for 100 years. Everyone must have been very anxious to know about the mystery of the annihilation of the Jadu dynasty, and that message must have been explained by the Lord to Uddhava and dispatched to Badrik Ashram for the information of Naranarayan and other pure devotees of the Lord. So at Prabhakshetra, the great Yadu dynasty in which Lord Krishna appeared, having taken his transcendental birth from Vasudeva and Devaki. So that entire dynasty, all the male members, they went to Prabhakshetra on the shore of what we now call the Arabian Sea. This is in present-day Gujarat, Western India. And so taking the role of Kshatriyas, actually in this Jadu dynasty, they were all Devatas descended from the upper region of the universe, who had come down to assist the Lord in his pastime. So certainly everyone in that dynasty, what to speak of that, but they were also personally associated with the Lord in his earthly Leela as his family members. So certainly they were all exalted souls. But taking the role of Kshatriyas, so as you may know, Kshatriyas, the royal order, they have a limited provision for such activities as meat eating. That is, if they go hunting, and they're supposed to hunt to keep their prowess with weapons sharp. So they go into the forest and hunt, and those animals that they kill, they eat also. So that is one thing. Another thing is that Kshatriyas also sometimes drink alcoholic beverages that are prepared as part of sacrifice. So the beverages are first offered in the sacrifice, and then the remnants may be taken by the royal order. So this is what happened at Prabhakshetra. Some drinking of rice wine was going on, and in the course of this, there was an exchange of course, this is all apparent, this is all Leela, but there was an exchange of insults. And being Kshatriyas are very hot-blooded and do not tolerate insults. So then this led to fighting. And it so happened that at this place of Prabhu Chaitra, there were reeds that had grown up. Now, at this place, the sages had disposed of one iron ball that Shamba, the son of Lord Krishna, had jokingly, there's a whole other earlier narrative that the youths of the Yadu dynasty, they decided to play a joke on the sages one day. So Shamba, who is Krishna's naughty son, of all of Krishna's many, many sons, Shamba stands out as being particularly naughty. So he dressed up in a sari and he put an iron ball under his part here, belly. And the other boys brought him forward and said, "This young girl is now pregnant. Can you please tell us about the child that will take birth from her? Can you please bless this child and tell us the child's fortune and all these things?" So they were mocking the sages because even now in India, grihastas will go to sages with such kind of saintly persons with such kind of matters. Please bless our child. So like that, they were joking with the rishis, but the rishis were not amused. So then it was said there by the sages that this iron ball that this girl is carrying as a child will be the death, will be the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. So hearing that, then the Kshatriyas of that dynasty became very alarmed. This is pronounced by the sages. So to try to avoid that this curse would come true, they had the iron ball ground up into powder. And this powder was then thrown into the ocean right there at that same spot, Prabhupada. And then there was a little lump that was left, and this lump of iron ended up in the hands of one hunter, forest hunter named Jara, and he turned it into an arrowhead. So this is all before. So anyway, this powdered iron that was thrown into the sea, it, of course, by the will of the Lord, it nourished the roots of reeds that were growing on the seashore, so that these reeds became like iron rods. And so, in the apparent drunken anger of the Kshatriyas of the Yadu dynasty, there at Prabhupada, they reached for something to strike another, and they grabbed these reeds. This was what was available, but the reeds were as hard as iron. So a reed, normally you can hit someone with it. It will cause a sharp pain, but not real injury. But these reeds, they were actual weapons. So when they struck one another, they were killing one another. And so this violence broke out like fire, burning up bamboos. When there is a fire in a bamboo forest, very quickly the whole forest is consumed. So like that, this fire of anger spread throughout the whole. We're talking about millions and millions of great personalities were there. And so they struck one another down with these iron reeds and were killed. And then Lord Krishna, he retired to the forest. There he instructed Uddhava, and after Uddhava, as described here, after Uddhava left for Madhurikashram, the Lord was sitting under a tree, and he was sitting in this half Padmasana, that means one foot was here, his legs were crossed, but one foot was here, and the bottom of the foot could be seen. So this hunter who had used that iron lump, the remnant of it, for an arrowhead, he was nearby, and through the bushes of the forest, he saw the Lord's bottom of his lotus foot, and he took that to be the face of a deer. deer, so I'm a hunter. So he drew back his bow and sent that arrow. And the arrow, actually, it did not even cut the foot of the Lord. It simply touched it, went into the earth, touching the foot of the Lord. But the Lord used that as a reason for leaving this world. And he blessed the hunter when he realized this is Lord Krishna. He was mortified and he came out crying and he fell at the Lord's lotus feet. I'm very, very sorry, what have I done? And the Lord blessed him. No, this is all part of my Leela. Now is my time to depart this world. So you have played your part. I have now a reason. You fired an arrow. Of course, again, the arrow didn't even enter the body of the Lord at all. But the Lord took advantage of this. And he went back home, back to Godhead, and he took this hunter with him too. So the hunter entered the spiritual world by the grace of the Lord. So this is how the Yadu dynasty departed, and it is mysterious. People will ask if these were pure devotees of the Lord, great demigods, the Lord's own family in his earthly pastimes, then how could they become drunk like this? And how could they, once beating and killing one another, how could they continue so that millions and millions would be annihilated? So this is a mystery. And so to give reassurance to the great sages at Badrik Ashram, this holy place is still there in India. Of course, there is Badrinath, the pilgrimage spot in the Himalayas. One can visit that today and see the deity of Lord Narayan in meditation. Narayan Rishi is mentioned here. So Narayan Rishi are actually two sages. And one is the Supreme Lord himself, Narayan, and the other is, actually it is said that Krishna and Arjuna are the same, Narayan Rishi. So the other sage, Nara Rishi, is a pure devotee and eternal associate of Narayan Rishi. So Narayan Rishi in the form of Vishal, deity known as Vishal, Lord Badrinath. You can go there now and have darshan of that deity, which was found long time ago, many centuries ago, in a lake there. The deity had been installed in the temple since ancient times, but at some point around the beginning of the Kali Yuga, the deity entered a lake and was hidden until Sripad Shankaracharya went up there. And he and his disciple Padmapada, they recovered this deity from that lake. Shankaracharya was told by some mystic process by the deity that I am here. So Shankaracharya had the deity brought out and installed again. And so the present temple of Badrik Ashram goes back to that time. And great personalities, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Lord Nityananda, they have gone up there to take darshan of Lord Badrinath. But beyond this Badrik Ashram temple, there is what is known as Uttara Badrinath. And that is in the actual Himalayan peaks, snow-covered peaks, always covered with snow. So this is where Narayan Rishi and Vyasadeva and other great sages are always there. So Sripad Madhvacharya, who is the founder of this Brahma Sampradaya, in which the Hare Krishna movement belongs to, he went to this Uttara Badrinath. And one of his disciples tried to follow him he told his disciples, you stay at the temple, you stay here and do service to the deity. I'm going farther north. So one of his disciples attempted to see where his spiritual master was going. So he was following behind, trying to stay out of sight, because his Madhvacharya had instructed him very strongly, you stay here, I'm going alone. And when Madhvacharya entered these ice-covered peaks, his disciple was struggling to keep him in sight. He was struggling and tripping over the stones, everything ice and snow. And then he saw his Gurudev flying through the air from one peak to another. And of course then he couldn't keep up, because Madhvacharya is he is Vayu. In his Swarup, he is Mukhya Prana Vayu. That means the original Vayu. And this is pertinent to this verse, because Srila Prabhupada is speaking of the Vedas, and the Vedas come from the Lord. All Vedic knowledge has its origin in the Lord. So the Vedas are carried by this Mukhya Prana Vayu. Just like when we speak, then the sound of our speech is carried by the air, is carried by Vayu. So the original sound vibration, out of which everything in this material world has manifest, that is the Vedic sound, and that is carried by the original Vayudev, who is called Mukhya Prana, and that is the self-same Madhvacharya, who appeared in Kali Yuga, being concerned that the Vedic knowledge would be lost because of people's great disqualification. They have no memory in this age, so and they're easily misled. And the Mayavadi philosophy had spread. So Mukhya Prana, out of great concern, he appeared in India, in the region now called Karnataka, as Anandatirtha Madhvacharya. And he established in this Kali Yuga the Brahma Sampradaya. Of course, the Brahma Sampradaya begins at the very start of this universe with the Lord's instructions to Brahma. And we receive the Srimad Bhagavatam from that point. The Chatur Shlok, the four essential verses of the Bhagavatam, are spoken by the Lord to Brahma at the very beginning. So, this Sampradaya goes back to the beginning of the universe, but in Kali Yuga everything becomes misplaced and covered and lost, apparently. So this was a great contribution of Madhvacharya, that he revived the Brahma Sampradaya and established it in the Kali Yuga. And so, yes, so to get orders from Srila Vyasadeva how to present Vedanta Sutra commentary, because this is what it means to establish a Sampradaya. There must be bhasya, there must be commentary on Vedanta. And Vedanta is, as Prabhupada is saying here, it's very difficult to understand Krishna through the Vedas, so this is very appropriate. Vedanta means the conclusive philosophy of the Vedas. There are so many Vedic texts. So Vedanta Sutra is, you could say, winding up all of this Vedic knowledge, summarizing it, expressing it in code form. But the Vedanta Sutra is very, very mysterious, very, very difficult to understand. So Madhvacharya wanted to give confirmation and instruction from Srila Vyasadeva, who is the compiler of the Vedas. So he went there personally, flying along the airways from peak to peak, entering this region in which human beings cannot enter. So we to understand this. This is the context of where Prabhupada is speaking of that place where the great sages, Narada and Rishi, are residing. It is a place where we cannot go. We need to understand that only someone like Madhvacharya can go to have darshan of Narada and Rishi and Srila Vyasadeva and the other sages. So, yes, because of the mysterious nature of the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty, Lord Krishna sent a message, a confidential message, that was carried by his most confidential devotee, Uddhava. So he entrusted his devotee. So this reminds us of a message that was sent by Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya is, of course, the Lord himself. Lord Mahavishnu. In the Panchatattva, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna in one person. Lord Nityananda is Lord Baladev. Hare Krishna. Or Lord Sankarshan. And Advaitacharya is Mahavishnu. And Sadashiva also, the original form, Lord Shiva, was non-different from Mahavishnu. So, Sri Advaitacharya, as you know, he appeared in this world before Mahaprabhu. And he appeared as the leader of the entire Brahmana community. He was expert in Vedic knowledge, in ritualistic sacrifices and all of that. He did that most expertly. And looking over the state of the world in Kali Yuga, he became moved by compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. And he worshipped the Lord, worshipped Shalagram Shila, calling upon the Lord to please descend, to deliver these fallen souls, to give them love of Krishna. Because he said they're so fallen that unless you come, they cannot be delivered. So, therefore Advaitacharya is said to be the cause of the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this Sri Advaitacharya, he stayed always at Shantipur. This is a few kilometers away from present-day Mayapur. The town Shantipur is still there. So he was always at Shantipur. And every year from Jagannath Puri, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying after he took sannyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would send one of his confidential Puri associates named Jagadanand Pandit. And he would go to Bengal for the purpose of reassuring Sachimata, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother, because she was always in motherly separation from her son. Mahaprabhu was staying at Jagannath Puri simply at the request of his mother. She was always worried about him, and she therefore had requested, you stay at Puri. You can't be at home as sannyasi, but you can stay at Puri, because in that holy place I will be able to get news from you. So Lord Chaitanya ensured that she would get news from him by requesting every year that Jagadananda Pandit go to Bengal, to Mayapur, Navadvip, and stay there for 1 month, and specifically to comfort his mother, to give her news of himself. Through Jagadananda Pandit, Mahaprabhu would reassure his mother, because his mother, she was so absorbed in thoughts of her son, that she would continue to cook for him at home as if he was there. And she would pray that her son please accept this that she had cooked. And this was her way of offering. She would offer it to her son. And so Mahaprabhu related through Jagadananda Pandit that, Mother, whatever you cook for me, I am there. I come and I take. So this way she would be reassured. So then at the end, the latter part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela on this earth, when Jagadananda Pandit was departing Navadvipam to go back to Puri, then Advaitacharya gave him a confidential message that he was to deliver to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this message is presented in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Advaitacharya said, Baulakke kahe, loka haila baula. This is how it began. Baulakke kahe. This means in Bengali, you, Jagadananda Pandit, you tell that Baula, that Baulia, that madman, meaning Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you tell that madman, Lokahaila Baula, that the whole world has become mad. So, Hati na vikaya chaula. Therefore there is no more need of rice in the marketplace. There's no demand for rice in the marketplace. So this is quite mysterious. We tell that madman that the whole world has become mad, and therefore now there's no more need of rice in the marketplace. Then the message went on, Baulake kahiya kai nahika aul. Baulake kahiya iha kahiya chi baul. And this means that everyone in this world has attained what you have come to give, has attained the love of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. So, then yes, Baula ke kahiya, this Baul, this madman, Advaitacharya, he wishes to inform you that he has also become crazy. He has also become mad. So Jagadananda Pandit, he brought this is the point. Such a message has to be entrusted to someone who is in confidence, who is trustworthy. So he brought the message back to Puri and related this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates headed by Suhotra Swami. So when Mahaprabhu heard this, he became very grave. He became very serious. And he commented only, that is his order. So Swarup Damodar, Swarup Damodar is most intelligent. So he understood this message immediately. But for the sake of the others, he urged the Lord, please explain, what does this mean? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that Advaitacharya is a very mysterious person. He has brought me here, meaning as I explained, by his prayers and worship of Shalagram, calling out, crying out, as he was worshipping Shalagram with Ganga water and Tulsi, he cried out to the Lord to please come. So Lord Chaitanya confirmed this, that he has brought me here and he has the power to send me anywhere. He is such a mysterious person. I do not understand him. I cannot understand what is in his mind. I do not understand what this message means. So when when Swarup Damodar Goswami heard this, then he also became very grave. Because Mahaprabhu, in saying this, which was difficult for the others to understand, what Mahaprabhu was now saying. But Swarup Damodar Goswami, he understood this. And what Mahaprabhu was saying is that Advaitacharya brought me here and now he is requesting me to go. So thereafter, there was a most startling change in Lord Chaitanya's behavior. His whole Leela up to that point suddenly shifted in a dramatic new direction. And this was after receiving this message. I told you the other day about Viraha Bhakti, the mood of separation, loving separation. So this Viraha Bhava, it flowed from Mahaprabhu's heart like a torrent, like the Ganga, and it's coming from Himalayas, from a place called Gomukh. It's coming out of the rock and ice like a torrent. It is very mysterious. Usually these great rivers, you follow them to their source. It's just a little trickle coming out of the ground and meets with other streams and then gradually becomes bigger and bigger. But the river Ganges, if you follow it up to Gomukh, you see it shooting out of the rock. You see it shooting out with great force. So like that from Mahaprabhu's heart, this Viraha Bhakti was, at that point then, after he heard this message, was shooting forth in an unstoppable torrent. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became actually mad after that. And he would enter this ecstasy of Srimati Radharani when Krishna was leaving Vrindavan to go to Mathura. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, very many nice poetic statements that Mahaprabhu uttered about the departure of Lord Krishna for Mathura. So this is, this shows he simply entered into this mood of transcendental separation. Now Krishna is going. And he's going and he's taking my heart with him. So Mahaprabhu would stay in one room, the Gambhira, and staying there after having heard this message of Advaitacharya. Then he went into ecstasies at night because he was staying there all alone. He went into such ecstasies that his associates became frightened. One morning they came to the Gambhira room and they found Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His face was all bloody because he had been rubbing his face against the wall the whole night. And so they were broken-hearted to see him in that condition. And they asked him, what has happened? What have you done to yourself? And he said, I was trying to leave this room, but I could not find the door. So he was pushing his face against the wall to try to leave the room. But he was so overwhelmed with transcendental ecstasy, he could not see where the door was. So, yes, these accounts you can read in the Antya-lila, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're very moving to the heart. So this is how this was the beginning of the end of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes on earth. And he entered into this deep mood of separation from Krishna. And this consumed his whole consciousness. So So similarly, we see here, the message was sent by Lord Krishna at the end of his pastimes to the sages. So the Lord's purposes are most deep, and we cannot understand them by our mental speculation. But because the Lord has his parshadas, his eternal associates, confidential devotees, therefore we can be instructed into these mysteries by their grace, because the Lord has entrusted them with the deeper truths of his appearance and activities. So are there any questions? Yes?
Maharaj, you were explaining about the origin of this Brahma Sampradaya in this Kali Yuga. It's said that there is two Sampradayas that we are following, the Shiksha and Diksha Sampradaya. So, are they somehow different?
Well, Shiksha and Diksha, that is referring to the link. You see, Sampradaya, the word Sampradaya means one after another. So like a train. So you see a train, one after another. The wagons are following. So there must be a linkage between, in order for a train to move. The cars, the wagons must be linked together. So the means of linkage is by Shiksha and Diksha. So Diksha means initiation. The spiritual master, he imparts to a worthy disciple the mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So what is the effect of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra that is given in Diksha? So this Diksha then is the key by which that disciple can develop love of God by this chanting. In this age, the chanting of Hare Krishna Mantra is given to everyone. It's given in the Vedic scriptures, in the Kali Sutra and Upanishad. So even without initiation, if one chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one achieves liberation. This is stated by Brahma to Narada Muni in the Kali Sutra and Upanishad. One may be Suchi or Asuchi. Suchi means pure, Brahminical, or Asuchi means Asuchi means impure, fallen. Doesn't matter. Everyone should chant. So we distribute the holy name. Devotees go out and chant Sankirtan, so everyone can hear. So by hearing Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or if they're more fortunate, they take it up themselves and also chant. Sometimes they chant along with the devotees on the street, or they go home remembering the mantra and chant. They tell their friends, I saw the Hare Krishnas today, they were chanting that Hare Krishna. So, in this way they attain liberation. But down the Sampradaya, by the process of Diksha, one is initiated into the more confidential aspect of the chanting. Chanting, yes, externally gives liberation, but internally we chant to develop love of God. So that is made possible by Diksha. And then Shiksha means instructions in transcendental knowledge. So the spiritual master, he's giving both Shiksha and Diksha. So you said there are two lines. Yes, Diksha Parampara. There's so many Diksha Gurus in the Brahma Sampradaya who gave initiation to disciples. If we would, I don't think the complete list of the Diksha Parampara could be compiled. That list you see in the beginning, in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is I think about 33 spiritual masters mentioned in that list. That is the Shiksha Parampara. Those are the outstanding teachers of spiritual knowledge in the Parampara. So in the Shiksha Parampara, it is not to be assumed that there is necessarily a guru-disciple relationship, one after the other in that sense. But Shiksha Parampara means the transmission of spiritual knowledge in the Sampradaya. And Diksha Parampara means this specific connection between guru and disciple. The guru giving the blessing to disciple that he may take this holy name for the cultivation of love of Godhead. Is that clear? Okay. Anything else? Yes?
You said in this story about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he went mad after some message, but I missed the message because my mind was in his shirt. So what message did he receive and from who?
Your mind was in his shirt because the shirt is blue like the shirt.
No, it says fun and fratic in Finland.
Oh.
Now I missed one point.
Yeah, the message simply was that tell that madman, meaning Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that the whole world has become mad. Therefore, there's no demand for rice in the marketplace. Everyone has achieved what you have come to give. So, this madman, Advaitacharya, has therefore also become mad. That was the message. So, I'm glad you understood. Anything else? Alright, we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.